Okay, we're on the record. Good evening, everyone. Tonight is Tuesday, February 27th. It's about 7:30 p.m. in the year 2024, which is a leap year month. So everyone gets an extra day this month. We're here in Town Hall, room 206. Tonight we have a public hearing and a general meeting. So we have a nice full agenda. So to get started right away, we're going to jump into the public hearing first. The first item on the agenda is continuation of site plan application number 310B, special permit application number 324B, flood stem prevention application number 425B, 7 Sedgwick Avenue LLC at 7 Sedgwick Avenue. The proposal is to raise the existing bank building on the site, convert and redevelop the property as multifamily residential, and to perform related site development activities within a regulated area, including limited regrading of the property, installation of landscaping, lighting, stormwater management. The application proposes to construct a 3-story multifamily apartment building with a total of 18 one-bedroom apartments on 2 floors above a parking level, establish a 4,969 square feet of public plaza area and an off-street loading area. A total of 30 surface parking level spaces will be created under the building. The 0.49 plus or minus acre subject property is located on the southwest corner formed by the intersection of Sedgwick Avenue and Old Kings Highway North, and is shown on Assessor's map number 71 as lots 15 and 16 in the Central Business District Zone. The hearing was opened on January 23rd, 2024. So we had a full night on this already once. There were a couple cleanup items that we had to go over. Some of the stuff you were going to give us, some of the stuff we were going to track down, like the letter from the police department and whatnot. Today, you sent us another letter answering some of the letters that we already got in, and some other items that are on here. They want to just confirm it and go over again. Fred, is there anything we're missing? Want to take us out and tell us what's going on at the beginning?
Yeah, sure. As you noted, Steve, this is a continuation of the public hearing that was opened by the Commission on January 23rd. Since that date, or on January 23rd, at the conclusion of the hearing that evening, the Commission had a number of questions and concerns relative to the sewer department, legal traffic authority, civil engineering, peer review. Mike Netter had some questions regarding zoning compliance. There were some outstanding questions regarding comments from the fire marshal, location of Eversource equipment, as well as dimensions of the public plaza area. Since that time, Bob Maslin, the applicant's representative, who is here this evening, submitted a letter for the record dated February 22nd addressing each of those items, and additional materials were uploaded to the online file, the OpenGov application, addressing each of these items. So Bob is here this evening to really go over each of these open outstanding items and to answer any questions that the Commission may have remaining at this point.
Fantastic. Welcome, Bob. Why don't you explain to us what you want to explain first, and we'll
Sure.
get to questions.
Attorney Robert Maslin for the record, representing the applicant. I did 2 things. I did a number of things. I submitted a letter addressing Commissioner Netter's questions on zoning compliance in terms of parking and use. That was January 30th that we uploaded that, or maybe the next day. And then on the 22nd, after talking to the staff, I wrote a letter which basically was a compilation of the open issues as I understood them at the end of the last meeting. So, and all of this is basically, this is where we've come since the last meeting. So I go down the list. The first one is the sewer department. We've gotten a letter from Ed Gentile saying that they approved the development, and that's based on the capacity analysis that was done for the previous application, which was a larger building with more discharge. So this project being smaller in scope with less discharge, obviously did not raise a capacity problem. So we're okay with the sewer department. The traffic authority, I had a couple of conversations with Chief Anderson, and eventually Captain Hadima wrote a memo. They basically don't have any issues with this project. They've itemized a few things in Captain's letter, but they're pretty much okay with everything. Chief Anderson did have a question about the desirability of maintaining the traffic circle here, but I think at the end of my conversations with him, and as you'll note at the end of Captain Hadima's memo, they're okay with the traffic rotary. So we're good with the traffic authority.
There was just two items I wanted to make sure we highlighted.
Sure.
The first bullet point, we'll just go by bullet points. Stop sign of the bar, that first one you talked about, southbound
Yep.
approach, that's there. The other stop bar, moving it 15 feet, that's there. The shoulders, which your guy recommended, that's
The
there.
shoulder, if I can just
Go ahead,
stop you there.
Yep.
Sorry for interrupting, but
that's quite all right.
there was a 6-foot shoulder stripe in the previous plan, and that was basically because of how close the building was to the road. It improved the travel portion of the road. It designated it a little better than having it open. It wasn't included in this plan, but I think the police department just looked at the old plan and the old reports and just piggybacked off that. So
I think it's
I'll leave
included.
that up to you. That's
Yeah,
just a stripe job. And
Yeah, I think it's in his plan now, because the next item I think is new.
yes,
Said a crosswalk to be built across the west leg of Old Kings Highway North at Sedgwick Avenue in front of the existing stop bar.
I think that was in the previous application as well.
Because the gentleman that came up at that hearing, he's the one that requested it, and we kind of said it was a crosswalk to nowhere.
Yeah.
And then you had to cross again, but the police department's saying put it in.
Well, I believe that west leg of
It's the
Old
one
Kings
that's
Highway
closest to
North
the
at
ice rink.
Sedgwick.
It's the ice rink side.
I think the west leg is the other side. If
Yeah,
you
I think
look at Sedgwick as if it's kind of north-south, I think that's the one they're talking about, because there's no crosswalk there now. There's a stop bar. The stop bar will get moved, but not very much because of the way the curbs
Yeah,
are laid
no,
out with the
it's-
little ramps.
It should be the other side, right?
And I think with the discussion on the other side is you have a crosswalk that doesn't go to a sidewalk.
That's what I thought.
Right.
And it kind of doesn't make sense, because you're going through that crosswalk, and then you're kind of making your way up across the bridge, and then you're into an open parking lot, and there's no pedestrian sidewalk there. So I think the logic was, just put it in front of the building, the new building, that crosswalk, so you're going to a sidewalk. You can either go to the fish market or the laundry or whatever's over there to the left, to the right, or go across the bridge and you're right into the sidewalk area of the Goodwives Shopping Center, so you're minimizing your exposure to moving
Understood.
traffic.
I just want to make sure that we do exactly what the police department wants us to do.
Can I just make a suggestion?
Yep.
We'll follow up with them later if there's an issue.
Yeah. I mean, it's the easiest thing to do is put an exhibit to it. If they have a single piece of paper, we just take it like this and say where it is.
Well,
Because it is an odd view. I mean, I'm looking at the same thing you're looking at, because it does look like it's a regurgitation of everything that we
It
asked
is.
for.
but the only crosswalk that's ever been across Old Kings Highway is the one in front of the building.
Correct.
And I think what she did here was put, should be added, should be this, should be that, as if she's reading off our plan and the traffic letters from our traffic guy and
Yep.
Greg.
So then the last item that I had in here was no vegetation to be placed right in
Correct.
front of this
Right.
that should obstruct the motorist visibilities.
That's sightline.
Yeah,
What's in the plan now is grass, and then a few feet in, you get the higher, like decorative grasses. But
great.
it's lawn for several feet.
Because we talked about that, I think that's in either your letter or the other letter, where it talks about the seagrass.
One of the things you were looking for was, what did the seagrass look like? And we've uploaded a diagram, and that's online. I have a
There's something
paper
with
one
the
if you want to
seagrass.
look at
That's
it,
okay.
but
I just want to make sure that if they don't want that seagrass blocking sightlines, you can block it silent. But that, again, that's something we can do, adjust in the
Yeah.
field
yeah,
at the time of construction.
here's your schematic, so.
Great, Fred.
And this is in the record, so you can refer to this directly.
Yes.
This is grass exhibit.
So the one that's going to be in the sightline is obviously going to be the low one?
No, what's in the sight line is lawn. That's down on the ground.
Okay. So if it has to get adjusted in the field at the time of construction?
Yeah.
it's
Correct.
adjusted in the field.
Yes.
That's fine. Okay, and we got that? All right, so that's the police department's letter.
The peer review, engineering peer review is, they've been back and forth, and when Joe Canis was here last time, he said that any remaining issues can be addressed either as conditions or they can be addressed in the building permit phase. So that's kind of was it was mentioned, but it wasn't really like an open issue.
What about the flood contingency plan? For parking and for, it was mentioned by Joe. Where will cars go and how will residents be notified?
What was that? I didn't,
The Joe Canis one was looking for, I think, a flood contingency plan?
I think we had one. I know we had a pretty extensive one the last time around, but it's basically the landlord informs the tenants of what the possibilities are here. The building is sprinklered, it's completely compliant with flood regulations and all of that. And they'll be informed, listen to reverse 911 and
Right. I think we
And
just
the
were
alerts
concerned
and-
about the cars.
I
down
think the
there.
town, doesn't the town, when you're dealing with like hurricanes and stuff, down along the shore, they're offering people parking lots at the schools on higher ground, and this would be the same thing.
The thing the most places they go to is like Middlesex School and
Yeah.
Homeschool, which is up high.
Yeah. And it kind of goes back to the old saying, you can take the horse to water. Well, you can take the tenants away from the water, but they don't have to go.
Right, but
You know.
the point being is the
There is a
cars,
mechanism.
public road. Yeah,
There is a mechanism.
right, you don't want the
Does that
cars
answer your
floating.
question?
Well, you don't want the cars floating out of the building.
Right. Right.
So the town would be, you mentioned emergency response. So the town would be responsible for notifying the tenants?
No,
okay.
what happens when hurricanes and big storms come, you get these reverse 911 alerts on your text, on your phone if you register for it. And the town will have whatever their own contingency plan is for places along the shore, like Contentment Island and
No, I understand.
Tokenique and all of that. And this would just basically follow along with that.
We just make sure-
But there'll
one
be
second, Brett.
advance notice when
But just
tenants
make sure in
move
the
in.
resolution, when we read it up, we just look what it is.
Right, absolutely. I believe in Joe's latest comments, he had indicated that his comments had been addressed and that any remaining comments, there were some minor remaining comments that he noted could be addressed during the building permit
Yep.
phase of permitting. But relative to the flood contingency plan, if there's something that we feel needs to be beefed up in that regard, we can certainly include that as a condition of approval.
Yeah. there is a-
You know, the other thing that's been happening since Rick Talamelli came here, things are getting
We like
recorded on the land records about flood notices, so that's another way to alert people. Not that everybody looks at land records, but it's there.
Okay,
Steve.
sure, come on up. Cliff.
Chip Platts, how are you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Good to see you again.
It's Chip Platt, he is the owner of the property. Helen.
So the town has a red alert, we what it's called. So each tenant would be required to sign up for the red alert. So they would get the text messages from the town regarding any flooding or no evacuations or anything like that.
Okay.
Okay.
The only thing I
alerts
would
come
add
in-
to that, Chip, is that, I mean, I kind of envision this as being a snowbird place,
Mhm.
right? So if somebody's in Florida and they have 2 cars and one's here and one's there, you may want to keep that in the back of your mind on how to handle that. Because you can reverse 911 all you want and notify
Okay.
somebody if they're down at Palm Beach with my mother
Okay.
and their car's floating around in the parking lot in your building. It's going to hit somebody else's Tesla.
We could probably make contingencies to have their cars removed from the parking lot.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to mandatory tow them, but if they, have their keys in the office, and we'll, move them ourselves.
Because, I mean, you've been in the business long enough.
Sure.
Plenty of people that have
Sure.
a car here and a car there, and they
Yes.
leave it in the building.
Yes, sir.
It's covered, so it's, and then you think it's out of the snow, but if something happens,
True.
because we know we're in a flood zone.
Yeah.
And as per my understanding, and I'm pretty sure it was enacted, if there's any building, any apartment building that's in the flood zone in the state of Connecticut, you have to put some kind of addendum to the lease that notifies the tenant, so it's already in their lease
Right.
that the building's in a flood zone. That goes back to where they had the illegal basement apartments, and they all got flooded out. And that's the state of Connecticut put that in one of the statutes that we now comply to these things.
Okay.
And that's really for landlords, it's got nothing to do with us.
Right.
Put it in the resolution.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, follow all tenant landlord
Yeah.
regulations as per lease requirements in flood zones.
Sure.
And I know it's in there because I read it.
Yeah, something like that could be added to the resolution as well, sure.
Okay.
The good news, the good part of this is not in a floodway, and there's virtually no current because you got pilings and knee walls and all to kind of dissipate
But
the,
if you get a small light car, like a smart car, she'll be floating.
like those little, like a Fiat
Yeah.
500 or
Okay.
something. Okay. Zoning compliance, I think I answered Mike Netter's questions in my January 30th letter. Fire marshal comments, I've had several conversations with Bob Bush. He doesn't see any issues. They always seem to find a way to get to emergencies when there's flooding conditions. I was down on Searles Road one day during not a hurricane, but a high tide, the seasonal high tide. And there was about 2 feet of water. They find a way to get, and that happens once or twice a year anyway, and they always seem to find a way to get there with the fire
Right,
equipment.
but you just got to remember that that's a single-family house that you're talking about.
What, it's a whole section?
Right, so there's,
You know.
but it's still 4 people living in the house. This is 18 apartments times
Sure.
2, you're up to 36 people.
You
Just
just-
could be more. So you're sending Jeff Ball, who was on the commission, rescued 1 house. Now you're rescuing 18 people. Just, I get it, we've gone through this a million times.
Yeah.
We just have to be
Yep,
careful.
Yeah, we are. The other day, 3 firemen rappelled down the side of a building and saved people. That was
Yeah, we had
quite a thing. I
firemen
mean,
jump in.
firemen just have a way.
Jump in the river over at Good Wives River to pull out 2
Yeah.
people. On 5 Mile River, pull out 2
Yeah.
people, but that's on an 18-unit apartment building.
Height of the grass, we talked about that. Location of Eversource equipment. The best we can do there is, because you're not going to get a final sign-off from Eversource until you actually put the equipment in. We'll make whatever adjustments need to be made. I just don't see an issue there. The engineers designed this, they kind of have a sense of what Eversource looks for. And we'll manage. Dimensions of the public plaza, I pointed out the sheets that are already in the record that show the public plaza areas. And I think the most efficient way to deal with that is, instead of having a surveyor lay out the actual boundaries before you build the building and then have to change it if you make little adjustments,
No, it was
Just
on- it was
wait
on the
until the
plan.
as-built is done, and then we'll,
Yeah, it was on the plan of where the plazas were.
it is, yeah.
It's on the plan, and then your two numbers here add up to 4,969, which is what was in the legal notice also.
Yeah.
So the number didn't change, which is kind of miraculous.
That's a
for our
good,
town.
yeah, well,
That's surprising
what did I say before?
that it didn't change.
And I
Okay, the
think
last item.
that's it
that I
as
want-
far as zoning and compliance and all of that.
Okay, the last item that I want to go over is, it's the Planning Zoning Commission's discretion if they're on-site, off-site, or deed in lieu, or
Fee in
cash in lieu.
lieu, fee in lieu.
Cash in lieu, fee in lieu.
You don't call this deed in lieu
Yeah,
yet. We're not
exactly,
there.
we don't want to use that. So the item is, you guys did a calculation of what the
Yes.
dollar number is. Do you have that handy, Fred, do you have it, do I gotta pull it out?
Taking a look for it right now.
It is in the narrative, and
Because at the end of the day, I'm gonna
Okay.
recommend,
in the narrative, at the bottom of page 3, there's a section that starts affordable units. And on the next page, there are the 3 alternatives. And one is one floor and one unit on each floor, and then there's a calculation for the fee in lieu for the partial unit.
okay,
Then the next one is have one unit as affordable, and then there's a calculation, and that is
so why don't you
for,
read out those calculations as you're
Yes.
looking at them? So we let the general
Okay.
public know what's going on in life?
sure. If one floor on each unit is, well, let me back up.
Let's
The
go back-
requirement,
Let's go backwards.
Yeah.
You want to do a fee in lieu for everything?
all of it,
Okay?
yeah.
So, at the end of the day, I think that's what I'm gonna recommend to the commission also. So,
Okay.
what's that dollar number in terms of your math?
$903,420.
So it's 903,000, so it's almost $1 million.
It's almost $1 million.
Okay. So.
Now, this is based on the state median that was available when I did the narrative, which was the 2003 number. The 2004 number, I don't think is out yet. I
Understood.
did the calculation for somebody the other day, and it was still
Great,
2023.
understood. Because right now, inside the Housing Trust Fund, there's $119,000 in change.
It'll get you to
And that
million.
came from our friends over at Federal Realty, who might be wanting to say hi to us tonight also.
Okay.
So if we get another
It'll get you to a million.
$900,000, the number's not gonna go down.
No.
I don't think median income in Darien went down,
Mm-hmm.
or the state went down, or the area went down. So the number is gonna likely go up. So at the end of the day, the takeaway is that, you know, if we do a fee in lieu, that the town of Darien would most likely get no less than $903,420.
Correct.
For an unit, right? Okay. So that's something that we're gonna put in the resolution also, and that's the discretion, at the discretion of the commission.
Right.
And we'll discuss that at another time.
Can I just clarify the numbers? The indication is the 2023 state median was 117,500. You are multiplying numbers by 119,500.
How did that happen?
I haven't done the math.
I may have-
Which is which, but-
May have switched them between years, but
So is that the only spot where we get the number? Because I thought it was inside the PowerPoint also. And I'm
I don't
looking
think
at
I
the,
put it
I don't
in the
believe,
PowerPoint.
I don't know if it was in the PowerPoint. I believe it was in Bob's original submission to the commission. Is that correct, Bob?
Which is what,
This is in the yeah, it's in my
Right.
narrative.
this is it here. Whatever
Yes,
document that
correct,
is.
correct. That was at least from my recollection, that was the only location that the numbers were provided.
Okay, fantastic.
The question is it 117 or 119?
Yeah, I bet you a nickel.
119.
Obviously, whatever the number is at the right time to calculate it is going to be the number, so.
Right. So how does the math go? Is it 119 times 5? What's that backwards, I guess?
It'd be less.
No, in this number, is that using 119, is that using 117?
Oh, that I don't know.
Because so everyone knows, inside our statutes, as part of it, there's a calculation exhibit of how the math, how the key strokes are done.
Yeah.
I don't have that at my
Yeah,
fingertips.
it's using the 119.
So, okay, so you're using 119 now, so if the 119 ends up being 119 flat or 120, it's gonna go up. But that's also as of 2003. And do you know off the top of your head, is it the date that they get their C of O? Or is it the date they pull a construction permit?
I don't know off the top of my head. I can certainly find out for you.
Find out.
I don't think the appendix tells you that.
Right, no, I just did a deal, this same exact thing in Bridgeport. Obviously, the numbers are different. And it was 38% affordable in the building. And the State Department of Housing sent me the email, the Excel spreadsheet of how to do the numbers.
Oh, I got one of my own.
Yeah,
The trouble on,
it was, I mean, I got it 2 weeks ago.
No, I mean, at C of O or?
Oh, I didn't, that's the part I didn't read. I'm just trying to figure out when the town gets the check. Maybe we can ask Patrick McMahon, or when, they gave it to us after the building was built. Right, it's not before the building was built, but anyway. That was the last major item that I wanted to make sure we went over, because I think your recommendation that what you want to do is the fee in lieu
Yes.
and pay the town $900,000.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Any questions for James, or did we miss anything?
I think we had everything that I had on my list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Adam, anything you missing?
No.
Okay,
I'm good.
you're good? Since it's still is a public hearing, is anybody in the general public like to speak to this application before we close it? Oh, there's a gentleman in the back. Welcome, sir. Mr. Conzi, thank you for coming.
Fred Conzi, 24 Royal Road, Darien, Connecticut.
And just for the record, he's a past chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I served on the commission for 20 years, as some of you probably know. Prior to that, I was on the RTM, and back in the days of the school, this is a little bit of a story, back in the days that during the school wars, back in the early 90s, late 80s, there was a member of the RTM named Linda Santarella. She was a wonderful woman, highly dedicated person. And she used to come before the RTM with a big loose leaf filled with sticky notes. And it was very, it was a bit frightening to watch her work on this thing. She was always very well prepared. So I took a page out of her book. This is the 1995 Town Plan of Development that I was involved in. This is the 2005 Town Plan of Development that I was not involved in. I was off the commission by the time that came through. And here is the 2016. And I put sticky notes on all the pages where you talked about in the CBD zone having pedestrian-friendly walkways and a village-type environment. And this application does not have any retail on the first floor. And presumably the flood issue gives the developer a way to basically get around that process. Retail may be difficult to lease, but in this environment, it's a very closed environment down there. There are a lot of people who live in the neighboring condo project right next door. But I think the commission, before you allow something to be built and not have some kind of retail on the first floor, you're basically going against 25 years of direction this commission has put forth for the CBD zone. That is to have retail on the first floor and create the village pedestrian-friendly environment. So I'm coming into this a little bit late, so I'm not sure I know all the bells and whistles related to this particular application, but I would urge this commission to give some serious thought to maintaining that desire to get retail on the first floor, because if you don't, you're going to end up dealing with this issue elsewhere in the CBD zone, where there are going to be people, developers. It's it's a mathematical equation. They make a whole lot more money building rental apartments or condos than they do building retail. But unless this commission insists upon this kind of development, you're going to lose the opportunity to create this kind of environment, not just in this particular location, but elsewhere in the town. So I would urge you to do what your town plans have said for the last 25 years and maintain some commercial on the commercial retail on the first floor.
Great, thank you, Fred.
Yep.
Would anybody else like to speak to this application? No, we're good. Bob, if you don't mind, you eloquently answered or tried to answer Mike Netter's question, which is along the same line, and you wrote a letter, and we've gone back and forth on this thing for years. I'm not 100% sure if Kelly Associates across the street is in the same exact district, but.
Who is?
Well, it was Kelly Associates now. You're
dating.
I'm the youngest guy here, I hope.
Okay.
But retail's required on the ground, retail's supposed to be on the ground floor. I don't know if it says quote unquote
No.
required.
It's,
You're allowed
well,
to
let me
have
just
office on
read
the second floor.
the language out of 721. Section 721 is the background and purposes section that applies to the Central Business District. And this is a kind of a broad brush policy statement, but it does not mandate anything. It just says what the purpose of the zone is, and the remainder of section 720 deals with the specific regulations as to use, area and bulk, setbacks, and all of that. So 721 says, among other things,
You got this right.
the regulations are designed to encourage the orderly development of the district, which encourages preservation of existing architectural. Okay. You have that usual language. It talks about interrelationship of buildings to plazas and open spaces, provisions for pedestrian and vehicular circulation, consolidated central parking areas, and encouragement of a mix of housing and business uses. And it also says the regulations are designed for commercial sales and services, except financial, on the first floor, and to provide sufficient spaces for business and professional offices, and encourage dwelling units and second floor spaces. Again, this is kind of a broad brush policy statement, and we can kind of get right past the residential development because that's specifically encouraged here in this background section. Then you get to the permitted principal uses, and the permitted principal uses include specifically dwelling units located on upper floors. Nothing in 722 says you have to have anything on the first floor. It tells you what's allowed, but it doesn't mandate anything. And when you get into these questions and you're dealing with courts and appeals and everything, courts look at 722 on for the specific regulations that implement the town plan of development and the broad brush statement in 721. But I come back to, if your use is on a list of right uses, which is 722, then it doesn't matter what the background and purposes say. You're allowed to do it. With respect to the upper floor dwelling units, that's specifically mentioned in 720 or on top of that. But again, nothing required specifically on the first floor. Accessory uses of right, off-street parking and loading facilities in accordance with section 900. Well, the parking garage is a permitted of right accessory use. Doesn't say above ground, underground, or surface, it just says parking. So when you put all of that together, you have a permitted use dwelling units on the upper floors. You don't have retail on the first floor, but you do have parking, which is an of-right accessory use. And again, there's no requirement for any particular kind of use to combine with the dwelling units on the second floor. So that's how I look at it and how I read all of this. The other thing that's worth considering here, this is on the outer edge of the central business district. It's not downtown. It's not on the Post Road. You don't walk from, say, 1020 Post down to the ice cream place. Or when Corbin is done, you're going to be able to walk right through the Corbin development and go to all the shops in there. This is just not in that downtown environment the way the rest of it is. The other consideration is it's in a flood zone. Go look at those stores across the street there, the fish market and the others during a major flood. They're all underwater. That's what would happen here if you try to put retail here. You'd have to elevate them, which means, stairs, ramps for persons with disabilities. And it's just not a practical location, given all of the considerations, flood zones and everything else.
Yeah,
As far as the pedestrian circulation goes, we are providing crosswalks. There is a sidewalk that goes around the perimeter, but within the plaza, there's pedestrian walkways. There's a pedestrian way to get to the plaza in the back. You can go directly from the parking lot behind 800 into that plaza because it's right on the boundary if you wanted to. So we do, as much as reasonably possible, provide for pedestrian circulation.
So you have two plazas, so we're all on the same page. One's in the front, right?
Yes.
And one's in the back, where the
Correct.
picnic tables are. This is the Architecture Review Board letter that they said. So if you look at the front door, there's a plaza in front of it.
Plaza right in front of you.
Right, that's the public plaza. That's one of the 2 square footages,
Right.
which is either, I think it's the larger one, right? The 29,
You're probably right.
I think it's the 2931, right? And the 2038 is the one that's in the back where the picnic tables are.
Right.
Right, that's off of Old Kings Highway.
Yeah, so from entrance, parking, from the driveway entrance on Kings Highway North to exit entrance on Sedgwick, so that whole front of the area is public plaza.
Right,
And then once you go on the other side of the exit on Sedgwick, around the building, that whole section of area in the back of the building is public plaza.
okay.
That's connected.
So your public plaza kind of sort of mirrors the similar public plaza to 800 Post Road.
Yeah,
Because 800 Post
Larger,
Road.
much
Yeah, but it's
larger.
in the same spot.
Correct. It's
on the corner, yeah.
Yes.
Right, okay.
And these would be contiguous, but for the driveway,
Understood.
so.
And I don't think it says anything, it says they have to be contiguous.
No, they don't,
I mean,
but
I know over
just-
at Darien Commons, there's 3 different plazas, and one of them's a dog park, and it's not connected to anything.
Okay.
And it's a great public plaza.
So I hope I answered your question
Okay.
on the uses.
Jamie, you good? Adam, you're good? You're good? Everybody, anything we're missing, Fred?
I don't think so.
Okay, and we heard from the public, so anything, your last word, you good?
One last.
Oh, sure, Mr. Conzi, please.
The town has 3 separate villages. Groton Heights, which is obvious. Then you have the south of the tracks, and then you have north of the tracks. You're not going to get a lot of pedestrian traffic crossing between the Post Road, the ones south of the track, because of the railroad. But that's not to say that this area is not its own separate little village. And the moment will come in time when the Goodwife Shopping Center will be redeveloped. It's just a matter of time.
It is a matter of time.
And it'll be a major, and to have some retail in that area, in the ground floor, I think would be a positive thing. And like I said, Goodwives is eventually going to get redeveloped at some moment in time.
At some point. Thanks, Fred. Except I know Stop and Shop Lease has got 30 5 years left on it.
Yeah, but it's in a flood zone.
And I'm not gonna be here in 35 years, I know that.
I tried to be short.
We're good. All right, with that said, thank you, everybody. Motion to close? Adam makes a motion, looking for a second.
Thank you, everyone.
George makes it, all in favor? Okay, hearing's closed. We will deliberate on this probably a couple nights, and go through the documents. And that's probably not gonna happen for what, at least 2 weeks?
Yeah, I would say likely 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, that's that. Next item, flood damage prevention application number 442 PL 24-7, Shauna and Sullivan Reilly at 24 Cherry Street. Proposal to construct an addition and make alterations to the existing single-family residence on the property and perform related site development activities within a regulated area. The 0.14 plus or minus acre subject property is located on the south side of Cherry Street at the intersection at the northeastern corner formed by its intersection with Ash Street and is shown on Assessor map number 41 as lot 46 in the R1/5 residential zone. Fred, what do we got?
This application was submitted in conformance with Section 820 of the regulations under flood damage prevention regulations. This redevelopment went before the Zoning Board of Appeals in September of last year in 2023 relative to adding a small 60 square foot first floor infill addition and some additions and alterations and demo to the existing house on the property relative to front and side yard setbacks and building coverage. The ZBA did issue variances for front and side yard setbacks as well as building coverages. The Planning and Zoning Commission is essentially looking at the 60 square foot first floor addition at the front of the house and within the AE flood zone. I believe Nick DeMayo is here this evening to present the application and to answer any questions that the commission has.
I don't see
Nick?
Nick here.
Is Nick here?
No.
I'm not sure where Nick is.
And he lives next door to me. I can call him. Really?
No one else, apparently.
No one else is here to send in this application? Wow.
Continue it.
All right, we'll continue it. If he shows up tonight, we'll put him back at the bottom of the list, but if he doesn't show up tonight, I'll text him and see what he's doing. All right, that is gonna be, then we'll, I don't know, we table that? I guess
Yeah.
we'll call it table that. We'll come back to it. That's the end of the public meeting for now, so we'll go into, hearing for now, we'll go into the general meeting. The first item on the agenda is administrative flood damage prevention application number 443-ADM PL 24-15, Brigit Zimmerman at 6 Mayflower Road. The proposal is to construct a front porch, elevated mechanical equipment above the flood zone and raise an existing shed on the northwest portion of the property. The 0.19 plus or minus acres subject property is located on the west side of Mayflower Road, approximately 150 feet north of its intersection with Baywater Drive, and is shown on Assessor map number 55 as lot 41 in the Norotan Bay District Zone. Fred, what do we got?
Yeah, this one is, this application, flood damage prevention application was submitted under Section 828C under our administrative regulations. Staff made a determination that the extent of the improvements proposed by the applicant, which consist of really adding about 71 square feet of space to the existing front porch and lifting mechanical equipment that's currently on the garage slab, at elevation 8.9, raising that above the flood elevation above 16 feet. There are other improvements proposed for the house, as you may have noticed in the application materials that have been submitted. However, those are improvements within the existing footprint of the house and above the existing footprint. And they already have building permits for that work. So the commission is really just looking at the 71 square foot addition and the lifting of the mechanical equipment relative to the improvements being made. The property owner, Mike, is here this evening if you have any questions for him. Otherwise, the commission is really just making sure that the plan is in conformance with section 820 of the regulations and is conforming to the zoning regulations relative to setbacks.
Okay, so this dates back for a while. When the bay flooded for a long time, we changed a bunch of regulations and administrative stuff for the houses that were in the bay that got flooded. They got a variance to even go higher than the existing ones because we wanted to make sure that they could expedite all the buildings being lifted out of the flood zone. I don't know if it was under Fred Council's watch or not, but I was on the commission and we never overlapped. But this application is just really the front porch of the building, where it looks like they're putting it on sonnet tubes. They're doing some other work to the house, which is already obviously above the flood zone. That's where the plans you got are a lot bigger. And show other stuff on it, but that's really not in our jurisdiction. The coverage is going up to the proposed 19.31%. Am I reading it right?
That's correct. The total coverage would be 19.31%. The applicant does propose to demolish the shed on the property as well, and that coverage, that 19.3% coverage, reflects that demolition of the shed.
Okay, because it says raise. There's two kinds of raises. There's RAI and RAZ.
Correct.
This one we're RAZing it, which means they're taking it away. And if you read the narrative, it says the existing shed to be removed prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy, reducing the coverage by approximately 100 square feet. Okay, this is a general meeting item, so there's really no opening of the to the general public. Does the gentleman that represents this, did we get this right? Whose house it is?
Yes, you did.
Okay, you want to add anything at all? Just come on up and make sure we're doing this right.
Hi all, my name's Mike Lorenzen. My fiance owns the property. Everything that you've said is correct. If you have any questions, just let me know.
Okay. Jamie, you good? Adam?
Yeah, very straightforward.
All good? Okay, okay, fantastic. We're good. We're set, sir. All right, so I would take a motion to approve this as submitted. You're welcome.
Sure.
Adam makes a motion, Jay makes a second. All in favor? You got your addition, buddy. You're all set. All right. I don't think there's any real paperwork, right? You just sign something. We get the building permit now.
Right. They're just going to proceed to the building permit phase at this point.
Fantastic. All right, next item on the agenda, administrative business site plan review number 184C-AMD, Rory's Restaurant at 416 Boston Post Road. Proposal to renovate the existing outdoor dining area and to expand the hours of operation of the outdoor space beyond 9 p.m. per Connecticut Public Act 22-1. This is Rory's Restaurant. I was there last Saturday for dinner, had a great time, and they kicked me out at 10 o'clock. I guess that's when they close, but I got kicked out. I got kicked out.
I've been there past that.
Well, I think we paid the bill at $9.58. I got the receipt.
They don't like you.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of us. So Rory's is, you want to go over this again, the big whole thing about these outdoor dining things, we let them go in and instruct them to encourage them going during COVID. So we took out a lot of parking spaces, and then when COVID ended, most of those were supposed to go away, and it's supposed to go back to the regular parking spaces. This is one of the ones where they put in Jersey barriers and didn't send the parking, didn't ever take it away. It's still there today. but my understanding is they got a variance way back when for the parking anyway.
Correct.
Do you want to explain this a little bit?
Yeah, there was a previous variance for the property which approved the number of parking spaces that they currently have available with the outdoor dining space in place, right? So during COVID, Rory set up this outdoor dining space that they've been using for the past several years. The owner of the restaurant, Brian, is looking to create a more permanent outdoor space there, to remove the Jersey barriers, to create more attractive walls and make it a more permanent space.
Have they been to ARB yet?
They are going to ARB on March 6th.
Okay.
So ARB will be looking at this application. However, Public Act 22-1 that came out of the Connecticut legislature in 2023 has made, as of May 1st, 2023, these outdoor dining uses permitted as of right. And just reading directly from Public Act 22-1, shall allow any licensee or permittee of a food establishment operating in such municipality to engage in outdoor food and beverage service as an accessory use of such food establishment's permitted use. Such accessory use shall be allowed as of right, subject only to any required administrative site plan review. So we're bringing this before the commission this evening for the administrative site plan review, and the bill, the adopted bill, also limits the use of the outdoor space until 9:00 p.m. or a time established by the zoning commission of the municipality. So the Planning and Zoning Commission needs to make a decision that they're okay with extending the hours of operation of this outdoor space beyond 9 p.m. Brian has indicated in his materials that he submitted to the commission that they're looking to operate Monday through Friday, 11:30 a.m. to 10 p.m., and then Saturdays, 12 p.m. to 10 p.m., and then Sundays, 12 to 9 p.m.
Okay.
So we'd be looking for approvals from the commission to extend those hours from 9 to 10 o'clock, essentially Monday through Saturday.
Okay. There are a couple other restaurants in town that have great outdoor dining, which one of them being 1020 Post, which they put a ton of money into. I don't ever recall seeing those people leave there at 9 o'clock at night and go inside, but I may be wrong. There's a couple other ones back in the back where it was called, what used to be called Back Streets. They had outdoor dining in the back. It's not Back Streets anymore. Anybody have a question, comment, issue with that? There's
That was
not
my
any real-
question, if there were others.
There's
were
others in
limited. Yeah,
town,
that were
yeah.
limited.
Not Planet Pizza, Heights Pizza has got their outdoor cafe.
No,
where
but if
they have
there
lighting.
was a certain, any others that were allowed until 10, or if we established that.
I don't think we have any hard fast rule where people are not established till 10. And with regards to the steakhouse that's going in Grove Street Plaza, they had the same item. I don't know if we ever finalized that, but I know they're moving forward and they can come back at any time. But with regard, specifically,
Yeah.
does anyone have a problem with 10 o'clock on this one?
No, it's not a residential neighborhood.
No, I would comment, there really isn't any residence nearby. That existing
Yeah.
frame building is not a dwelling. Well, is not, it's owned by the owner, so.
Yeah, existing residential frame dwelling. Well, there's a house next door, but I guess he owns it, so.
Yeah.
Some of the other outdoor dining uses in town may have been established before the effective date of this legislation,
Could be
May
grandfathered.
of 2023. Anything that happened before then would have been a special permit by the commission, and the commission would have established hours of operation in association with that outdoor dining at that time.
Okay, because there's outdoor seats behind, to the left of the Goose also. So anyway, we're all in agreement, it's 10 o'clock is fine. Okay. With regard to the outdoor dining, that's fine, they're there, they're moving, get rid of the Jersey barriers and putting in nice 2.5-foot walls. It's subject to review by the ARB.
Correct.
I'm sure they'll chime in too, so I don't know if Brian's here or not, but have fun with ARB. They're really nice.
Okay. Glad you enjoyed your meal on Saturday.
I had a great meal. I had chicken cutlet something. It was fantastic with snow peas. Okay, with that said, can I get a motion to approve the request as submitted? Jamie makes the motion, George makes the second. All in favor? There we go. You got your new outdoor dining spot approved and your hours till 10 o'clock. And hopefully I don't get kicked out next time I go there at 10 o'clock.
I'll just behave.
I did get kicked out. They said, we're gonna take your check. I was like, really? Okay. I think we stuck in another round, but I'm pretty sure we did. All right, next item on the agenda. This is a tough one. Amendment to business site plan application number 296, amendments to special permit application number 296, land filling or grading application number 409, FR Darien LLC, Darien Commons, request to establish a 1,610 square feet of residential storage space within a ground level space of a building R1. We have Mr. Patrick McMahon is here. Welcome, sir. You want to explain this to us? Or you want us to explain it to you?
Hopefully I can explain it quickly. Patrick McMahon with Federal Realty, the proponent. Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate the audience tonight. Recently wrote planning and zoning department. We short sheeted one of our retail spaces. Sparkalicious is a tenant currently under construction next to the Sur La Table space in the R1 building at Darien Commons. It's a arts and crafts, family-oriented retail store. They only wanted the front half. They didn't want the back half. So we rented them, we leased them the front half. What that ends up doing is creating an orphan space that has no exterior wall, no exterior windows, no access to this public sidewalk. And so the request is, can we convert that space? It's approximately 1,600 square feet for the purpose of providing storage to our residents. Again, this has no public access. This would not be for public storage or anything like that. It would simply be for storage of residents that currently reside in the building.
So at the end of the day, the idea is put in like, those 4x4 cages stacked high, so I can put my golf clubs in there?
That is literally exactly what we intend to do, the 4x4 cages, which are sized for oversized luggage, golf clubs, that sort of thing.
And skis.
And skis, yes.
Fantastic. It's pretty simple. It's in every single apartment building that I've appraised that's built today. A lot of times they stick them in garages. You might come back someday and ask if we can put them in the garage in front of the cars that park down there. Please don't ask that for today. Seems reasonable. Any questions for this gentleman?
I'm just not clear on how you get to it. You got to walk through the front door, or?
No, so you're actually accessing it from the rear corridor, which is only accessible to retail tenants and residents. So in the rear corridor is actually immediately abutting the loading dock. So residents when they're moving in, they can move their items upstairs, or alternatively, they can simply take a right around the back. I know you're looking at the site plan. They can take a right around the back into the back area there. It would be key card access as well as cameras.
So there's some kind of door into this 106 space.
Correct.
I don't
Or
see
101.
that.
Oh, it's not on the plan?
I don't, right?
Like it.
The space where it's going, isn't that the end cap?
It is the end cap. and
Right,
it-
it's this space here. That one. That thing there.
I was looking.
Oh, yes, 101S. If you're looking, it's not 106.
Gotcha,
He was looking at
gotcha.
106.
Okay, now I get it.
There's an access rear. Each of your stores have a rear access. Right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So like when you go to Malta, which is fantastic, which is probably closed by the time I get out of here tonight, they go out the back door with all their food.
Correct.
Not the front door.
Food, trash.
I'm sorry, I just saw a different one that was highlighted, so never
Yep.
mind, got it, thank you.
That's available for lease if you want it.
I appreciate that.
Okay. All right, motion to approve this request as submitted. Adam, you're up, right? Adam, or actually George is up.
Whatever.
George makes the motion, and I think Jamie gets the second. All those in favor? Fantastic.
Appreciate it.
You got your cages. Good luck.
Thank you.
sir.
And Fred asked too that we provide a quick update tonight just on the previous application, which was to renovate and improve the exterior of the 40 Heights building. We just actually bid that work. We got the pricing in 2 days ago. We intend to apply for a building permit either in the month of March or April.
And
So
you're
we-
doing the facade work for 40 and the roof work for Equinox at the same time?
Correct.
Pretty
That's
much.
our intention, is to undertake the work at the same time. The Equinox work is going to be done by Equinox's contractor, but we're trying to line the two up at the same time.
And I bet you gotta wait till the weather gets better to do a roof on Equinox.
Yes.
I don't think you're doing that. I don't think you're doing that in March.
No.
And did you work out all your plans relative to the traffic and parking and making the canoe and closing the canoe?
We indeed can, and the canoe is something that we indeed can do, execute. There's a grading issue with the crosswalk from the backside of Gregory's to the backside of 40 Heights. And we need to provide Fred and Jeremy with a couple of alternatives, which we have not yet done, but we actually have those. I just need to send them.
Is your engineer readiness and meet, are they working on that?
They indeed are.
Oh, okay. I'll
And
speak
so
to
what
them.
we'll be sending you are indeed readiness and meet options.
Okay. Have we gotten any more questions, comments, complaints, issues relative to safety there?
Not that I'm aware of, but
Okay. Because the one that we're focused on is going from 40 Heights to the coffee shop.
Right.
And 40 Heights, you didn't renovate the work yet, and it's not super hopping. I don't think a lot of people from Citibank go there, and the office building's empty.
That's, all of that is correct.
Right. So if, when the office building gets leased, if people want
Then-
to come out and go get a cup of coffee, and then
Yep.
that's what you need. Okay, that's fine. Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you for your time, Patrick.
Appreciate it.
All right, next. Let me see what happened. One guy, Nick DeMayo is sick. His son is sick, and the engineer is supposed to take his place, but I guess he's not there. Yeah, so we'll just have to put him back on the agenda for a different date,
we'll
right?
put them back on the agenda.
Okay. He has a little kid who's sick.
Yeah.
Don't sweat it. Okay, next. All right, great. Next item on the agenda, we have a pre-application review under Connecticut General Statute 7-159B for 2 Squab Lane. It's a pre-application review and discussion of a proposal to construct a 16-unit residential apartments in a 3-story building generally arranged with 2 floors of apartments over an enclosed ground level parking garage in the central business district. This is a site which is in downtown Darien, which is behind what I still call today Brooks Brothers. Everybody still calls it Brooks Brothers, even though the wedding store is
The
fantastic.
dress shop removed from the, by the
And behind,
DCA.
Dunkin' Donuts and across the street from the parking lot. So Fred, you want to go out first with what we got?
Sure. Yeah, this is a pre-application review under Connecticut General Statute 7-159B. Steve, you're correct. The application, from what we understand, is to construct 16 1- and 2-bedroom apartments within a 3-story building on 2 Squab Lane. The applicant proposes to combine 3 separate lots in that area into one single lot.
Tax lots.
Tax lots, correct, to construct the building. They're looking to construct affordable housing under section 585 of the regulations, and they're using that inclusionary zoning regulation to cite a 3rd floor on the building, which would normally require a public plaza area on the site. But Craig Flaherty is here this evening with his team to try and receive some feedback from the commission and hopefully answer your questions as well.
Now, we got a pre-application, you guys remember, on the Thorndale Circle site from Tremble Crow like 2 weeks ago. I don't think you were on that one?
I am, but I wasn't.
You weren't
I wasn't
there.
presenting.
So it's another pre-application for another apartment building. It sounds a little bit similar to the one we just looked at 2 Squab Lane.
Or at 7 Sedgwick. Yes,
7 Sedgwick, yes.
Very similar. So,
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Craig Flaherty. I'm a principal at Redness and Mead, a land use consulting company with our primary office in Stamford. I am here on behalf of my client, Greenwich Realty Development, LLC, represented here tonight by Jay Ross and Rich Granoff. Rich Granoff is also the project architect. And they are interested in developing a portion of the properties owned by Dalsetti Inc. And tonight we're joined by Dan Dalsetti and his daughter Becky Lewis. And so we are here on a pre-application, so we are here for your unvarnished comments and questions and ideas. And we do appreciate the pre-application process as a helpful one for applicants before they choose to invest the time, money, and resources in all of the full documents, drawings, reports, etc., to hear your thoughts on where they're headed. So I'm going to give you a little context on the site. So today, the site you see outlined in this black line on the aerial is actually 3 separate lots, both separate zoning lots and separate lots. 2 Squab is in the back, currently occupied with a house-like structure that has offices inside it, or most recently has had offices inside it. And in the front, you've got 975 and 987, which is the bridal shop, not Brooks Brothers. The restaurant, the salon, and upstairs here, some real estate offices.
There are apartments in that building too?
There are no apartment buildings in the front buildings.
Okay.
0 apartment buildings in the front. 0 apartments or dwelling units on the property today, but that is something that we would like to change. The proposal is generally to put a 3-story building in the rear of the lot, of the compiled lot, with 2 stories of apartments above a ground level garage. Total of 16 apartments, 3 of which would be affordable, meeting your regulations for affordable units. So again, context, you've got the Day Street town-owned parking lot here to the west of the site, abutting the west edge of the lot. You've got Squab Lane, which was a town-owned right-of-way, which is where this gets its address. In the back, having more commuter parking along that. And then you have the state-owned, town-managed DOT commuter parking lot, sorry, I'm going into Dunkin' Donuts a little bit there, associated with the train station. So basically on 2 sides of this wedge, you've got public parking on both sides. And so we'll just take a quick tour around the site using Google Street View. This is taken looking north at the existing structure in the back of the lot today. This is taken at the southwest corner. This is where Grove Street and Day Street, the intersection of Grove Street and Day Street is right here looking into the site. So the property starts just in front of the bumpers of those cars. There's the little electrical equipment, 2 transformers in there. You can just start seeing the train station in the distance at the end of the driveway here up the hill. This is around back where Squab Lane goes into the DOT parking lot. This is, again, the town Day Street commuter lot here. And you can see the structure there. So the property starts here, goes all the way effectively a little short of the curb line on that side as well. And then the last image, you're going to see some renderings from these various images as well. This is from the railroad station parking lot, actually looking down into Grove Street in the distance. This is part of where we're proposing to create a connection. Now, this application has been around, or this thought of development on this site has been around for a very long time. There's at least 2 material previous approvals, one from 2007, one from 2019. The approval from 2007 had a building on much of the rear lot. with ground level retail and second floor restaurant. And then in 2019, that approval was changed, and basically they got rid of the square footage of retail and got approved for about 4,500 square feet of restaurant with some outdoor dining spaces. The proposal in 2007 had no on-site parking. The proposal in 2019 had 8 or 9 parking spaces in the front here and a driveway and asphalt parking area, kind of where the lawn is today. This is the next iteration, responding to market demand. And my client believes that if you're going to add residential density anywhere, this seems like a smart place to do it. It's immediately adjacent to the train station. It's downtown and convenient to lots of shopping and services. So that's the proposal. The proposed site would look something like that when overlaid on the aerial. You see the building introduced on the rear lot, the driveway maintained as it is today in front, a few extra parking spaces provided here. But one of the things that was important on the previous approvals and we've carried through today was the idea of improving the pedestrian linkage to the train station. So right now, if you wanted to get from the platform, right, you either have to go down the stairs in an elevator out front, and you're coming up the post road this way. If you want to do it out in the back, this is kind of your landing zone, but there's no sidewalks in this parking lot. There's no sidewalks in the Day Street parking lot. There's no sidewalks in Swab Lane. So you're just kind of meandering through the parking lots to get to the back of downtown. So the idea has always been, and it's carried forward, create a pedestrian linkage through the site. So it just feels easier for a pedestrian to decide to come off this side of the platform or go to that side of the platform and get into really kind of the Grove Street section, one block off the Post Road. So that's maintained on the site plan. Our garage entry for the units would be right here, and this would be a lobby, which you'll see in the proposed site plan. So the way that we're providing zoning compliance, as Fred mentions, is being compliant both with the CBD district, but asking for, in particular, 3 incentives under the inclusionary zoning regulations. And those 3, the 2 of those 3 incentives are for height in stories and height in feet. And the last incentive is for a reduction in parking. So with 16 units, I think the number of parking spaces that would be required without any mixed use or reduction would be something like 27 per your multifamily parking regulation.
And that's 1.5 per thousand? I mean, 1.5 per dwelling unit?
It's, I think it's 1.5 for every 1 bedroom and 2 for every 2 bedroom. That's what would get you 27. So we're asking for a reduction of that. I think we're providing 23 on this site plan, but the reg would allow us to ask for as few as 21. Now, in the 2007 approval, there was included a shared parking agreement that didn't only involve these 3 properties, but also involved these 2 properties here. Hi, Reese.
There's 3.
3 properties here? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. 1.
Details about it.
2 in the back, 1 in front. Yep, got it. We thought it was a good idea to provide our own parking for a couple of reasons. One, we just thought it was nice to have covered parking spaces, at least 1 covered parking spaces for each of the residential units. And 2, basically, not to put any further burden on the shared parking agreement and proposing enough parking that this would stand on its own 2 feet per se. I think although the inclusionary zoning regulation is the route to get to reduced parking, I think the idea that we're proposing residential in the middle of a sea of public parking that's largely available on nights and weekends makes that reduction all the more practical in this particular case. So with that, I think I'll ask Rich maybe just to run through the architecture. I mean, I could too, but this is that view from the south. So So this is where the lobby would be, and the stairs up to the railroad station, and the gathering area down at the bottom.
No offense, could we have Rich do it? You
Yeah,
mind?
sure. No offense taken, he should be.
Good, Rich, just state your name for the record. for
Sure,
everybody.
Rich Granoff, Principal at Granoff Architects in Greenwich, Connecticut, and I'm here representing Bill Cities and Mr. Ross and myself as the co-developer.
Here, tell Steve Schachter I said hi.
Thanks. Good Steve today. The proposed architecture is very, I'm going to say contextual, vernacular, if you will. We're proposing a kind of a white-on-white scheme with large, oversized muntins windows. And the concept here is that the staircase on the right is the connector to the train platform, and from the train platform back down to Grove. We've got the building entry and lobby at the ground floor, as you can see, and 2 stories of residential above. And you can see where the cars would access the covered garage area there. How do we go forward here?
Touch screen, so you can just.
Is it? Just touch screen?
Yeah, it's on the side, on the left side there, just hit the next image you want to see.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, sorry. So from up at the train station, it's really a 2-story building because there's a full story of a drop-off. So basically, you've got 2 floors of flats. There's 8 units per floor, mixtures of one or 2 bedrooms. They're all below 1,000 square feet each per the regs. So they're moderate units, and there will be a full rooftop green space amenity for the apartment uses. So the 2 gray bulkheads you see, those are the one in the foreground is elevator and stair access to the rooftop amenity, and the one in the distance in the back is egress stair only. And we're showing some green space up there as well. And this is the view looking north, approaching from Grove Street. You can see we've got a white brick base with white clapboard and white trim, and dark gray windows going on here. And you can see again where the vehicles would access the covered garage area there, and the building entrance in the back of the image there.
Now, is it a one-way garage? It's only one entrance in, there's no entrance out?
Yeah, it's only one, you can see in this diagram here, there's one way in and out. We studied it various ways, and it's also one security point we feel is a better mousetrap for a small boutique building like this.
And so under the building, there's 23 parking spaces under the building?
Correct, there's 23 covered.
Slightly different, there's 4 outside and 19.
All right, sorry, yeah, the 4 on the right are outside in front of the main entrance.
Oh, okay, it starts with 5 on the inside, so there's 23 total. So that
Correct.
parking ratio is 1.44 per dwelling unit. It sounds kind of light, but we'll see.
Transit-oriented development in the middle of downtown, and we do quite a few apartment buildings with 1.4. It's 1.4 is the accepted transit-oriented number that we've used, and traffic engineers have documented.
Yeah, I usually see 1.65. The last application's 1.67, what you saw 5 minutes ago.
And these are also small units. They're not.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah, theirs
not
are under
very
1,000 square
small
feet too.
units there, so.
Okay. Keep going. I didn't mean to stop you. Unless you're
So, yeah, that's the ground floor plan. And this is just a typical floor plan, showing it's an interesting shaped building dictated by the site. But we have it working with, you see the various sizes, 800, 900 foot 2 bedrooms, 800, 1 bedrooms, and the core on the right, and with the elevator, and then the left end is the egress. We haven't laid out the units yet, but pretty confident that these will lay out very nicely. And 2 floors of the same, and then a rooftop amenity space for residents' use.
You didn't show that. We don't have a plan for that, right? Just for full disclosure, Jeremy and myself met with the architect a couple different times. And at one point in time, there was going to be retail in there. The retail looks like it's gone away 100%. You want to explain, because Fred Conzi asked that in the last question, where it's in the CBZ zone, it's supposed to have retail, but doesn't have retail, it does have retail.
So we
want to make sure that we're doing, we got to treat everybody the same.
Oh, I agree. So again, this site is a little bit different than 7 Sedgwick. 7 Sedgwick was just that singular use on the site. When these 3 parcels are consolidated, we've got the retail on the first floor in the front buildings as described. So it's similar in my mind to, if you take a single family lot, you're not allowed to put a garage on it unless there's a house. But if you put a house on it, then you can put a detached garage on it. So that's kind of the way I thought about it in terms of that particular zoning question.
So now on the lot, there is, because it's going to be a new tax lot, they're all combined to one zoning lot.
Correct.
So you have retail on there and commercial in there. Okay.
Correct.
So that answers that question. The other item is, with regards to the parking, you're underparked, you're going to look to us to give you some relief, is what you said on the parking.
Yep.
But you have the lot that's behind what I still call
Steam.
Steam. I was going to say Steam. I don't know what it's called now.
Yeah. So this will be part of the same lot. Yeah, correct.
So can we combine that lot into the other lot? Can you put more parking on the grass? Obviously, you can't put it on
Yeah, it's tough geometry, and we do like the grass, but, we could look at, maybe there's, for the 2-bedroom apartments, you do tandem spaces there or something,
Because, we don't want to get too deep into weeds, but we can always get too deep into weeds. There's always an issue of parking downtown, right? And these 3 properties, to my understanding, is there's a shared parking agreement.
That's correct.
Where they all have to play in the same sandbox. So we don't want to look to approve something that's underparked without talking about the other ones.
Well, again, I think although, yes, we're asking for a reduction from your regulation, but I don't know that the building is underparked given its location.
Understood.
Yeah.
But it's by the letter of the law, it's supposed to have 27, and we have 23.
Correct.
Right. Is that a flagpole? Is the flagpole getting moved in the middle?
No,
on this plan?
the flagpole is over here. We weren't proposing to move it. We just put that there as the idea that this space wanted a focal point, and I don't know if it's a tree or it's a sculpture, or it's it's a thing that wants to live there just as a focal point.
That's the circle.
That's a circle. It's a circle right now.
Got it. The other thing that we're trying to do is we're trying to make connectivity from the post road directly to what I'm going to call Melting Pot, which is not Melting Pot anymore. Now it's going to be a steakhouse. So can you go over the sidewalks? They're going to connect the post road all the way to here. I see I'm looking at.
Do you mean the train station, or do you mean the?
No, I'm talking about the sidewalks. So I'm looking at CP. You have this one?
Yeah.
CSP?
Yeah.
Where you have the walks on the opposite side of the street, right? So if
on
I'm
the south
walking
side of
from,
Grove, or the driveway, yeah.
if I'm walking from walking out the front door of Anything White, and I'm going over to the steakhouse after I bought myself a wedding dress for my daughter, how do I get there?
Well, I think the aerial's easier, but
just on the other one, you have where it says sidewalk.
Yeah. So you've got these paved surfaces here, right? We're adding a walk around here. You get to that circulation point.
Yeah.
And then we're proposing walks here and to get across Day Street there.
And then I cross again the other way.
Yeah, over at that.
So now where it says walk, there's sidewalk there, right? Or there's something there today? Is that new sidewalks? Do you own that street?
Here.
No, just curbs. No, up above at the top.
Where it says walk?
Right here.
No, on Day Street, or no, on Grove Street.
This?
Yeah, those two.
Yeah, and that's on Two Squab Lane. Currently, they're planted islands.
So you own Two Squab Lane? You own that street?
Yes, yeah, that's a part of the development site. So it's So there's those two planted islands, and we're widening this to put the walk in there.
Oh, because that's your pothole that I always ask Mr. Dulcetti to fix.
That's all.
Fix the pothole, yeah.
He looks like he fixed it again. He looks like he went to Home Depot and fixed it.
I fixed it the other day.
I figured that. It's
So
the salt
that's,
season.
Yeah, you can kind of see where the property boundary
Right,
is there.
that's what So we're gonna put in crosswalks that are, so I come out the front door of everything white after buying the dress. I'm going over to have a beer at the other place. So I'm walking around the cars, those 4 parking spaces,
Yeah. Correct.
right? Then going across the street to the walkway. Yep, and then another walk. How come we can't make that a solid sidewalk?
Well, there's a drive aisle here that needs to be
Oh,
maintained,
okay,
a drive
okay.
aisle there that needs to be maintained.
And that's the other owners,
Correct.
that's the bank and,
You can see it right there.
are both of those the bank?
Yes, in effect.
But on your survey, there's 2 different, one's called lot 28, one's called lot
I
26.
guess according to Reese, there's 3 lots there, but that's the bank, and that's the parking lot.
Okay,
Yeah, we could do a surface treatment here to make it, feel.
I'm looking for connectivity.
Yeah, pedestrian friendly. So if we did pavers here, flush pavers,
Yeah, you love those porous paver things.
I do.
I know you do. All right, and then, okay.
Since when you're coming from the train station, can we put the stuff in the Connecticut-owned DOT lot, that extra crosswalk and then the
So,
considered
yeah.
paving pattern? Or is that, where's the edge of your property on that? Because I agree, that area, the parking lot's all beat to hell, and then where does it looks like it's on the other side of your property.
Squad Lane is a town right of way like any other town road.
Yeah, this area right here.
And so the town of Darien owns Squad Lane. So any of the improvements indicated in there would be like, building a sidewalk in front of any development that you proposed. And so we very intentionally kept our proposed improvements in the town right of way.
So that is still town right away.
Yes, this is still a town right of way. This is a town right of way, this is a town right of way, this is all a town right of way. So we are just working with the traffic authority and you guys, and DPW, to figure it out.
Got it. So that's
The only
not
thing
part
that
of the
isn't
lot.
is this, which is why I
Yeah.
left the word consider.
That's right where the bike racks are too.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be similar to what we did at 2 Squab Lane, and not, 7 Sedgwick, where they said, you guys said, at 7 Sedgwick, they said, we wanna paint lines here, and you're gonna do the same thing with Chief Anderson.
Yeah, exactly.
We have to repave the road.
Or actually, it was just announced today, this replacement, I forgot the name, but anyway.
Wow. Marin. Is it really? That's great news. Just for a little bit of background, when they did this, and this is before my time, when they did everything white, which is called Brooks Brothers, and the bank, and then 2 Squab Lane, it was 3 parcels. The idea was that there was going to be, quote unquote, in the resolution, set a grand staircase that goes from the train station to the lot. If you go there today, there's a wooden staircase there, so there is connectivity, but it's a permanent temporary staircase. And if you look inside the pictures, this is your new grand staircase, right?
Yeah, so this is the 2007 site plan. So you can see the footprint that was proposed then and the staircase that was proposed then. But then in 2019.
That was just a renovation of the house, right?
Yeah, exactly.
2007 was a scrape job.
Yeah, exactly. But this is the 2019 approval of this commission, which shows this stairway.
Going the other way.
Yeah.
Right, and that's still on that same thing now, which is
Same
long.
kind of same general.
You're angling at 45 degrees now.
Yeah. Well, this one was more perpendicular to Squab Lane originally, then they kind of angled it the other way, and, we're proposing that. I mean, if you want a wider staircase, we could make a wider staircase. It's easy.
I would make it as wide as possible can make it.
There's no in regards to the staircase too, since that's gonna be public use, really, a lot of people coming down from the trains, right, walking in.
Yeah.
There's no lighting on any of your renderings, so I
Well, yeah.
assume you'll be adding, the only problem is there's a window for an apartment right there as well, so it looks like that might be an interesting lighting area.
Yeah, something to consider carefully.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Okay. Jamie, anything at this point? George?
I do have one tangential issue, unfortunately.
Rich already drew a larger staircase, so we're good.
It looks
It looks pretty wide.
Look at that.
He said it was too small.
If you go, I think, to your first schematic
Yeah.
that we saw, I want to look at the parking lot to the west of your property.
Yep.
Or
And I could
yes.
also do it on here.
This one here.
No, where are we?
So this is,
Oh,
that's the
yeah.
development site right there.
Okay, so up where it says Squab Lane, I guess, the end of the parking there,
Yeah,
I find that a very difficult intersection.
I agree.
It's too tight for two cars at any one time, and I'll lay it on you guys because you're going to increase traffic by at least 23 vehicles or so, and I would love for you to work with the town to find a way to make that work better.
I have ideas that I can share with the town.
He's asked me to do that for 10 years.
Oh, yeah, good.
He
Why
asked Jamie
haven't you done that?
He asked Jamie Stevenson to do it, and she wouldn't give him the keys.
All right, well,
He said, let me do it.
maybe we have some leverage now, I don't
Well,
know.
it's a weird circulation in the train station, because it's a one-way, but then people just kind of zoop in.
Well, pedestrians just.
Pedestrians are
Yeah.
everywhere. I drive in the
Yeah.
wrong way and park my car right there.
Okay. Now, the next thing, let's go over the inclusionary zoning bonus.
Sure.
Because to get the third story, you got to either give us a plaza or
Yep,
give us more units.
yep, so,
If you listen to the last application, that applicant wanted to give us money, on-site, off, the three options are on-site, off-site, and money. The concept, in my mind lately, is to take the money versus the units.
okay.
So I don't know if that changes your math at all, or your thought process.
Well, I mean, the math, you create an inclusionary, an affordable or a BMR, below market rate requirement
Yep.
based on the math, right? So your baseline math is 14% of units.
Right,
If we want to do anything above and beyond the allowable baseline, right, 25% of those units now have to be affordable. So the way we looked at it is the second story is permitted as of right in the central business district. So we do 14% of that level, which is 8 units, which creates a BMR requirement on the second floor of 1.12. And then we look at the third floor as really the bonus floor in the central business district. So we need to make 25% of those units affordable, or 2 of 8. So the whole requirement is 3.12. And so we can split that up, working with you and your preference to be fee in lieu, to be 3 on site with the change in lieu, to be somewhere in between. But that's how we got there.
okay. So my big things were the connectivity, parking, and then the how we're gonna do the affordable units. With regards to the architectural significance, I mean, I know you know what you're doing, but me personally, I don't have a super issue with, the facades. That's, that's gonna be architecture review. Are they gonna see them at all? We haven't seen them at all, right?
The architectural review
Yeah,
board?
no.
No, they haven't seen,
Yeah.
they haven't seen this.
Yeah, I don't know what those guys will do. I mean, to me, it looks like a nice enough building.
Yeah, look, they'll make comments and it'll be a better design when we get out.
Right,
Yeah.
but we're more concerned with density, layout, parking, height, and how they're gonna get us the stuff. It's not a public hearing, but I'm a nice guy. Does anybody want to speak to this application? Because I see 2 former chairmen, I see another commissioner, and another property owner. So I don't know if you mind if I allow other people to speak,
I
but
think it's good to hear the comments before we start the process. So.
welcome, ma'am. Please just state your name for the record, please.
I'm Ramsey Bell, former chairman of ZBA.
Are you really? Congratulations, I didn't meet you.
Oh, yeah.
You have to just stand by the microphone if you don't mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I got inspired to speak from everything I heard tonight, not just this application, but I think affordable housing is a really important issue in Darien, and I hope you will consider not just taking cash in lieu of units, because we have the whole town to answer to for not coming up to where we should be with affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. One of the reasons to answer that one item, New Canaan has a huge affordable housing trust fund. Greenwich just started an affordable housing trust fund, and Westport has a huge affordable housing trust fund. If we got these three things together, we'd have over $2 million in that trust fund. If everything goes right. Right now, we have $100,000. You can't do anything with that.
How would you spend that money? You'd create affordable housing.
We have an affordable housing trust fund board, and they would love us to give them the money. And they could find another site, build another site someplace in town. There's a couple other parcels in town. It could be seed money. You can go to the state with it, and you can build a bigger project. I mean, in our town, we have federal built 24 units. David Genovese, I think, built 16 units. There's a couple other ones. Now we're doing, one here, there, one here, two there. You get nickels and dimes and onesies and
But
twosies.
every time we increase the number of units, we're diluting the percentage.
No, you're not, because it's the most recent building, which is 1987, that ends up being 20% affordable. This building, the way they did the math, they're 18.75% affordable. So our statute, the state statute's 10%, ours is 14%. For the last three projects we did, they're over 16% affordable. At what's the last one we did? At Kensett, we added another 14 units at Kensett. We added 14 more units at Kensett, and we got 2 affordables on that one. So you're getting little small ones. For us to really move the dial, we got to build 50. So if we get $2 million in a fund, and they can find a site to build something that's bigger, you're off to the races. That's my personal thought process, and I'm the chairman, which doesn't mean a whole lot, but that's my process. Anybody else want to speak to this one? Oh, we have another past person on the commission.
Thank you, and thank you all for serving. I served from 2006 to 2012.
Just state your name for the record, too.
Miller Reese Hutchison III. I'm one of the managers for 993 Post Road, and we own the 3 lots that were leased on a ground lease to Darien, Roy and Bank.
So on this survey, I'm sorry, this says lot 28, 993, and lot 26, 993.
There's another.
There's a third one?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the smaller piece behind what used to be the brick building. It's on the corner of Day Street and Grove Street extension. So
Okay.
it's what would be the northwest corner of these parcels.
Okay.
So a couple things. I mean, I commend so much work and so much thinking that's gone into this, especially merging the lots to create the residential use being conforming in the zone. Craig, that's really, really smart. I like the way you thought that through.
It lands up being 17.5 units per acre.
Yeah, no, it does a lot to make it more palatable. Our main concern is we have a ground lease with our tenant that has another 23 years plus or minus to go. At such point, we want our site absolutely unencumbered by anything else. At current, we supply the driveway in from the post road. We do not intend that to be surviving our ground lease in any way, shape, or form, and our shared parking agreement went to great lengths to say that could not be possible, that nobody could claim a prescriptive easement from anyone else. We went so far as, because we had 3 lots, we put an easement over 1 lot at Dan's request, and Dan put an easement in the back here so that the Brooks Brothers, the former Brooks Brothers site, could be accessed from what was Grove Street at the time. So that's our main concern with this site plan, is that there's a massive pinch point here that will eventually have to support vehicular access to the former Brooks Brothers site. The dump truck, firemen, and I'm not an engineer, Craig, you could speak to this, whether this is enough room in front of the back door to the building to safely have emergency vehicles and 2-way traffic access the parking lot at such time that the shared parking no longer exists. So I think we have to look at today. We also have to look at 23 years from now, or at such point that this site's redeveloped as well. So a lot of good things there. There may be some, so kind of weird, I looked at our shared parking agreement.
Who's in the shared parking agreement?
Our 3 lots here and the bank. We had already executed our ground lease at that point. So the bank is also a party to the shared parking.
So the bank and the bank is the building above your piece of dirt.
Your piece of dirt, yeah. So we own the dirt, we're a signer. The bank was a signer because we'd already executed our lease before the Dulcettis were able to purchase their property from their relatives and do a joint development.
Okay.
At such point, the shared parking became, so this was owned by Dan and Phil individually, and the front was Dulcetti Inc. So there were 4 parties to the shared parking, would all have an interest in this and how it affects each other. So that would be, access would be one of the main things, is how do you engineer this so that it will survive past the shared parking, which terminates at our lease point. It's actually in the document. When I looked at the shared parking.
And that's recorded on the land record?
Absolutely. When I reviewed that document, it references properties that weren't necessarily part of the site plan. That's something on you guys. I checked everything with our title and deeds and found that our property is accurately described in the shared parking and in what I was able to do through a title search. I'm not a title searcher, but there may be other issues that go back to the early 1900s when this was developed as part of an estate from someone that died in 1900.
Okay.
That's way beyond my pay grade, and it's not our property. So our main concern is, and that's something you guys might want to look into, because you, the town, might have an interest in some of the property. I don't know, and I'm not here to make any claims of that. It's not our property.
Okay.
Our main concern is that post survival of when the expiration of the shared parking, that there's no contemplated access for fire and safety and loading and everything else. So this, to me, is a little problematic in its width. It's not conforming to two-way traffic, in my view, and I'm not an engineer. So
Okay.
that would be something to ask the engineers. But I do commend you guys. I think apartments here, right near the train station, is awesome. I think the staircase was always a huge feature, Dan, from the original site plan. And it'll fit in many, many ways in what the intent of Darien is, and especially having the inclusionary zoning be a part of it. I really like the fact that 4 additional parking spots have been created here with this site plan, which would survive, until at such point it doesn't. 23 years from now, it's nice to have 4 more spots. Being 3 spots short, with the ability to use the Grove Street, this lot here at night, makes sense. I'm not sure, Craig, you're correct on where DOT land begins and town land on Swab. You might want to check that. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's a hard 90 at some point, and it's actually the town managed DOT land for the railroad. But that's a nit in that, so it would be whether you put your crosswalk up there and access that to the train. And that's always been a huge feature that we've looked for. And Steve, your connectivity through Grove Street and even the visual connectivity is huge.
Right.
I know the last town plan even contemplated traffic flow there over to Leroy, more formal through the sports shop. And it became, problematic, and I think some of John Vaccaro's development.
Vaccaro did his part.
Yeah, he did, yeah. And it's cool. And Grove Street certainly anchored that whole rear parcel there, the whole rear, the focus is incredible what Penny was able to do there. So again, I think the use is good in many, many ways. It would be nice to see retail, but they've made that argument really clear. I think Craig nailed that with the site being merged.
Yep.
You've met that requirement. I think getting the extra affordables is really nice.
Yep.
And I think this site is incredibly hard to work with. I commend you for putting pencil to paper and being able to squeeze that much in. So the only thing I would suggest is that we would be most concerned with how you access this in a reasonable fire and safety dump truck, not impinging on people walking. Does that make sense, Craig?
I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I got you.
And otherwise, those are our main concerns, that this, you guys approve what you approve, and we're not here to obstruct that in any way, but we do want to make sure that when we have the site back in our full control, that we have full access to the site and have no encumbrances from any of the neighbors.
Okay. Hey, Craig, do you mind, can you put up the other site plan, this CSP one? Okay. So is that, that's a...
This would be the area of most concern, is how would you get bypass traffic, because it's gonna have to be two-way coming in, probably out of a parking lot, correct, Craig?
Well, yeah, the easement that was set up
No,
is
no,
actually.
I'm not just talking about the site plan, having two cars passing here and making a turn to get down here, is that?
I heard you.
I know.
I gotta look at it.
Okay.
Because that's your lot 28 there, right?
This is our lot here, this hard point here.
Right now, this is
Uh,
25 feet, right?
Yeah.
So 20 feet is, probably minimum for two-way traffic.
So you're actually, those 4 parking spaces are being accessed off of your land too.
Correct, which they could then do later if they access it, they could come in
They
this
can
way.
do it back to.
Sure, yeah, but that would be the most concern, if you could just put something to paper that sort of shows that being safe and practical for when these properties are no longer entwined with the shared parking that would be huge. And that would be our greatest concern. The rest is on you guys. If you want to look into other things, that's your commission and your purview,
Yep.
not ours.
You sat in this chair.
I know, and I miss it in some ways, but I'm really enjoying the sewer commission, and we're gonna have a seat for any one of you guys that wants to jump ship someday.
Some sewer commission people here. Fred, you gotta go to the sewer commission.
And I want to say thank you again for all your time. I know what it's like, and it's a huge thing for Darien, and you're going to look back like I am decades later. And like I went into federal and had dinner, and I'm like, well, I didn't imagine this, but it's cool. And it's not perfect, but it's cool. And you just breathe a sigh of relief that you didn't really mess things up.
That was Fred Consi's.
Yeah,
It was
I
his
know.
idea.
Again, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Anybody else want to speak to this one, since we're here? We're good? Mr. Dulce, it's your piece of dirt.
He's my mouthpiece.
There you go, all
I
right.
told him if I was gonna take the job, he had to sit in the audience.
All right, so I don't know if we gave you that much feedback.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're here for feedback, and this is a critical part of the pre-app process, right?
Right.
Hopefully, I'm hearing that, obviously a lot of details, but we're in the right ballpark. That's what I hope I'm hearing. But if there's anybody super uncomfortable with some aspect of the proposal, we'd rather hear that now than after spending six figures.
It's the last piece of property downtown that's not been developed.
Yep.
Pretty much. It's the last piece. It's been on the drawing board since Brooks Brothers and the bank were built, which is before my time, which is like 15 years ago. Right? So we eventually got to get this thing done. Right? And I think you're going down the right path, in my opinion. The only thing I want is the connectivity from the post road all the way to the new steakhouse. Right? Yep. And then good access and whatnot. The density, you have it at 17.5 per acre, which is what we want to see, not anything huge and dense. The height's fine. It's a 2-story building over parking. I think you got to look to see if you squeeze more. That was my question. How many parking spaces are required for the retail buildings in the front, and how many are in that little lot there?
Oh, I mean, this was a pretty big leap of faith when the commission made the original decision in 2007. If you added up all the uses just raw, there would be a need for a significant amount of more parking. But
They would need a significant.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think the recognition is that they were providing more parking than there was before. That it's in downtown. That there's a lot of public parking available. It'll all kind of work with the walking around town to do 2 or 3 stops instead of 1.
Because I've never seen the parking lot that's behind Everything White full.
Yeah.
And I think when that was Brooks Brothers, then it turns into Everything White. We never really saw the application because it was a men's store to a ladies store.
And they do have some employee passes, where you can use like the Mechanic Street lot or the Tokenie
Right.
Street lots.
But also, I think that Everything White is by appointment only.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, appointment only.
So it's not
It's
like,
Saturday and Sunday business.
yeah, so it's also not like, the sports shop on between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Seems to be working.
Yeah, I haven't heard any problems. But if we put in 18 new apartments or 16 new apartments, we gotta make sure we have enough parking for them. Okay. Anything else before we close it? Thank you for your time. Appreciate it, Rich.
Thank you for your
Thanks,
time.
Dan, Jay. That's it. All right. Who's her brother? Hey, Perry. Nice to see you, man. He's on the Little League baseball for the Little League for the national country. All right, deliberations only. Any public hearings closed tonight. We're not going to deliberate on that one and 4 Cherry Street West, so there's nothing to do
Yeah,
there.
nothing to deliberate on.
We have to do minutes. Okay. I didn't read these front to back to front, but I'm sure everybody else did. So let's do the minutes from February 6, 2024. Questions, comments, scriveners, errors on this one? Anybody catch anything good? You good? February 6th, yes. Anything you picked up on this one, Jamie?
No.
First time was a mandatory referral for Great Island. Then we went into Thorndale Circle, which was a pre-application.
Approvals.
Then we have Stony Brook,
10 Hoyt's approval.
10 Hoyt, we talked about that one. There was their approval. Thanks, Fred.
See you guys.
See you, man. Stay in touch. Another approval for McCarran Road, can't change that. Another approval for Mansfield, can't change that.
Look at. They always render different, no matter what I look at. On my computer and my tablet.
Dude, this one's moving over. No, that's right, that's right. I got it. Okay, February 6, 2024, I'm looking for a motion to approve as submitted.
Sure.
George makes the motion, Adam makes a second, everybody in favor? 4-0. Done. All right, next minutes up are Thursday, February 15th. This was the meeting that we had over Zoom, I think, right?
That's correct.
Yep, it was at 3:15 in the afternoon. It was really only for the deliberation, or for the final resolution for Great Island, the Great Island Road. So it's really the resolution, which we can't change anyway. Anything else come up on this one?
I noticed one, of course, quoting me, so I'm wondering what does it mean, noted a change correction to condition P? I don't know what that means.
You want to change that, Fred? Or you want to see?
Let's take
Mr.
a
Riley
look at it.
noted a change correct to condition P. Numerous edits were discussed and reviewed. So let's go to condition P. Let's see.
I would give you license to change a word or two there.
Okay. Sure. You can just take
P,
that
prior
out
to zero to
We
completion.
can do that too.
He was,
Talks about the C of O. Certificate of approval completion shall be submitted the following.
unless you know what it is, I
No.
don't, so, all right.
I don't remember talking about that at all.
It was very profound. There you go. Forgotten the history.
You want to make sure they got an as-built survey, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, I think that might be a different condition.
Very well could be.
It might have been, it's not P, it might have been something newest as reviewed and discussed. So you want to change that, well, I would say edit it to double check that P,
Or strike it.
or strike it. Or just strike it?
Yeah, we can strike
Yeah,
it.
just strike it. So that's that one sentence. So it's going to say, Mr. Van suggests change to condition E, and then numerous edits were discussed and reviewed by the commission members.
Yep.
He also suggested additional funding regarding parking, so just that, yeah, that one sentence. So it's out 3 sentences instead of 4.
Got it.
Okay? Motion to approve as edited. George makes a motion. Looking for a second. Jamie makes a second. All in favor? 4-0. Fantastic. You getting all this help?
Yes.
Fantastic. Chairman's report. I had a chairman's report, but I forgot what it was, so we don't have a chairman's report. Do you have any, or actually, I got a chairman's report. Fred, can you give us a little bit of an update relative to legislative stuff? Just for the record, I've got a chairman of chairs meeting on Thursday, we have Zoom meetings with the other chairman of the other planning and zoning commissions in our, I'm going to call it peer group. It's really southwestern Connecticut. It's from Wilton down to Darien. We don't have, Norwalk is not on it. Stanford's not on it. I think Fairfield might be at this one. They get, the person that kind of runs it, which is the woman from Greenwich. She really gets into the reviewing of all the bills that are up in Hartford that affect us dearly. Fred is also 100% on top of all the happenings that happen up in Hartford. And he and I have exchanges all the time about, did you see this? Did you look at that? Did you see this? And he's usually a step ahead of me, which is always nice. The one item that I got wind of was that they were going to change the number of days that we have to look at an application from 65 to 45. I think I was mistaken in that, that it's not going to be a change in that. I think it's a change in the extensions. Is that what we said?
Correct.
Okay. So inside the bills that come out of Hartford, they bury certain things in, they're talking about schools and they throw something in the middle and you have to kind of decipher it out. That was one of the ones that was thrown in there that somebody picked up on. The other person that's on top of this is Francis Pickering, who is the executive director.
Executive director of Westcog.
He's the executive director of Westcog, so he follows all this stuff and he's non-affiliated or non-party, he's non-biased. He just says what it is, and then he's really smart, and he's really into urban planning and suburban planning, and he gives his 2 cents on things. So he watches this stuff too. So Fred, why don't you take it away and tell us if there's anything that we should look into. I know you sent an email out today about legislative update. I didn't read it though. I apologize.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have my materials in front of me with regard to everything.
The spotlight on it. It's 9 o'clock at night, and discuss legislation.
So I would be happy to put together a little bit more of a report, for an upcoming meeting. But,
okay.
The legislative session did begin a few weeks ago, I believe on February 7th, and we're tracking bills from a number of committees, including the Planning and Development Committee and the Housing Committee, and we're involved with the Connecticut chapter of the American Planning Association as well, that has a legislative committee and is tracking bills relative to planning and development related concerns and bills that are popping up.
Is it some of the same bills that are just getting, they're just changing the color of it, but it's got the same meat in it? Because I didn't see anything that jumped out that was huge.
Yeah, I mean, we really haven't seen anything come through that is that's really earth-shattering in terms of affecting the community. It is a short session of the legislature this year. Every other year they have a short session, so next year will be the long session. This year's the short session. In years of short session, it's usually, it ends in May, so.
I think I get stuff out. But there was a hearing today, or there's a hearing tomorrow on something?
There's a couple public hearings scheduled for tomorrow in the Planning and Development Committee. And those hearings are...
Now they're all over Zoom.
Yeah.
And they were over Zoom at certain times, just for, I don't know if you're kind of sort of new to the commission, but one of the items, they wanted to make a blanket zoning approval of 30 units an acre. Mm-hmm. If you're within a half a mile of a train station or something like that. As you can see, this one tonight is 17.5 units an acre. The other one, 7 Sedgwick, is 36 units an acre, 36 and a half, I think, which is going to be, if approved, the most dense project ever in the town of Darien, at 19 units. But none of our other projects, as a point of reference, I think Avalon is 9. I think when we saw Trammell Crow last week, that is 15 or 16. So we try to keep with that. So we wrote a letter a couple of years ago that said we're not going to sign off on a blanket approval of 30 or 25 units an acre because we don't have that and we don't really want that. So that's one of the things we look after.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't think anything like that's come up again.
No, we haven't seen anything at least this legislative session, and compared to last year, last legislative session, we were tracking a lot of bills relative to affordable housing and transit-oriented development. And, we haven't seen anything at that scale come through as of yet. So, we'll continue to monitor things and communicate what's coming through. And, if there's bills of concern, we'll certainly bring those to your attention. And if we feel we need to write testimony, we can certainly do that.
Okay. At our next meeting, can you just put down a associate, an assistant, what's your title? Assistant
Director of Planning.
Assistant Director of Planning report, just to go over, and maybe just do whatever bill numbers you're tracking and then the name of the bill numbers?
Sure.
The problem with the bill numbers, it's like HB, which means housing bill, like 4525, and then they change it, to a different number. So it was really interesting to do it.
Yeah.
Tracy Mara, who's one of our reps, also watches this stuff really diligently. But some of them are really good, and some of them, or can have the ability to be problematic for Darien. Like we did the parking, which was a requirement a couple of years ago. We opted out. We did the ADUs a couple of years ago. That was fine. We opted out, but we're doing our own. And the governor came down here in, what was that, December or Thanksgiving of last year to see all the stuff that we did. And, I think we're a poster child of stuff that's going good. Okay, that's it. Next meetings is March 5th and March 12th. Anything special? Oh, March 12th is now the ADU meeting.
That's correct.
Okay. And that's in the auditorium?
That's in the auditorium.
Okay.
And then for March 5th, it's looking like we don't have a whole lot for the agenda on March 5th, and there's not too much as far as carryover from tonight to March 5th either, other than 24 Cherry Street.
Well, why don't you reach out to Jeff DeMeo and see if he wants to pop in? I mean, if he's the only guy, then I would do it over Zoom.
Yeah, we could potentially schedule a special meeting. We could deliberate on 7 Sedgwick on the 5th as well as a possibility.
Okay, that's next week?
That's next week, yeah. Next week already. And then for March 12th, we have the public hearing on ADUs. And then after that, March 26th, we have a number of public hearings scheduled for that evening.
Okay. So the open applications we have now are some small ones, and then the big ones, 7 Sedgwick.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? We good? All right. Anything else to add to the agenda? 2/3 vote. Any other business, Fred? We good?
I think we're good.
No 2/3. All right. With that said, or not said, motion to approve, looking for a motion to close the adjourn. George makes the motion. Nice. See, Jamie wants to stay. Okay. Jamie's got the second. All in favor? There we go. Right. Hearing is closed. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, TV 79.
Better miss the short one.